Hi everyone, today we're talking about running and is it good for body fat loss, the pros and the cons. Now I've got my own opinion on this. I'm going to share it with you because I use running quite regularly and I always have. If you know my history, I've done marathons, I've done Ironman before, but they weren't for aesthetic reasons. I wasn't doing them to try and lose weight or to look thinner. It was more of a challenge for me. Now for me, I find that running is very therapeutic. I like to go running. Sometimes I use music, but a lot of the time I don't, because I like to focus on things like breathing patterns, and especially if you're in country parks or running at the side of roads, I think it's more safe really. That's my old hat on my head now, but I'm thinking more of people passing, people on bikes, people here that you're approaching as well, and dogs mainly. I've been bitten a couple of times as well. So for me, it is therapeutic, but I like to get out and not have any noise pollution as well. I like to get out and clear my thoughts. So I do think that running is beneficial to some people if you're highly stressed and you need to get out more. It's obviously other benefits like vitamin D, getting outside. When people start to go running because they want to lose weight, or they call it weight, or body fat is probably what they're referring to, that's when we get more of a problem, because the longer you're running for, you're going to go through that therapeutic stage, you're going to go through the benefit stage, and you're going to start to increase body fat. Because at the end of the day, what to remember is that the exercise is a type of stress, and your body knows either stress or no stress. So when we talk about physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, they're all effectively doing the same thing, which is elevating a hormone called cortisol. And when you start increasing it in high amounts, it's obviously going to be bad for you because it starts to store body fat. So you find that when people start going running, they don't lose body fat, they start to use their muscle mass as a fuel, so they start to lose muscle. So initially when we start going running, we see a body shape change, we feel a change, there's a noticeable difference when we put our clothes on, but that will soon start to end and diminish and almost reverse, because we're going to start using fuel from the wrong sources. Now this is a slippery slope, because this is going to lead to food cravings, sugar cravings, not being able to sleep effectively at night, not getting into a deep enough sleep. So we're actually going to start starving our body of those essential things. Now, if you're running for a sport, these are all different, because what people do that run for sport is they take all this into consideration and they fuel efficiently for the sport. And they start to have things like carb gels, and they start to look at different food sources. But for someone that's losing body fat, if you're eating for body fat but training for running, you're gonna get a different effect. It's not going to work. You need to eat for what you're doing, and that's why fueling for running is one thing, but fueling for fat loss is completely different. Now, can running be integrated into that if you like going running? Of course it can. What I would say is try and keep it shorter, less than 40 minutes. I'd probably look at more high intensity work, more sprints or higher intensity or velocity training, rather than just a steady slow pace, because doing more is not going to give you a better result. You're just giving yourself more and more of that stress hormone cortisol, which is leading to more body fat. So what you need to do is focus on the quality of your running, not the quantity of your running. If someone says to me, look Marvin, I want to go out running 1 or 2 times a week, that's fine. But let's track it. Let's look at the distance you're running. Let's look at the heart rate zones you're getting into. Let's make it more specific to you and make sure we're achieving a goal and improving, while we're monitoring body fat, while we're looking at sleep quality, looking at what you're getting your carbohydrates from, what your proteins from. Because if we don't look at all these elements, then you're going to start tearing down muscle. Once you start tearing down muscle, it's muscle that actually burns fat, which is why a lot of people now are looking and a lot of research into using resistance training rather than cardiovascular training to lose body fat, because muscle is what burns fat. So if you're scared of muscle and you're not wanting to do resistance training, but your goal is to lose body fat, it's going to be the hard way for you. It's going to be the long way. It's not always going to be the right, most effective way. Okay, so I'm not trying to take the fun out of running. I like the social aspect. I like going out with my friends. I do like sometimes putting some music in and just getting away down a country lane or the side of a river that's I'm hopefully not going to get murdered and thrown into. But these are the things that all weigh up. You've got to say, what are the positives, what are the benefits? This will all come down to essentially what is your goal and what do you enjoy about exercise. If your goal is body fat loss by whatever means necessary, then I'd say don't waste your time going running, because there are more effective ways that are quicker. But if your goal is, look, I need to decrease my stress, I do need to improve my health and lose some body fat, this could be a good start if you've not got much time or there's not a gym close to you. So there are pros and cons to both. So I'm not against running, but I just think the way that you run and the intensity that you run at and how you're doing it is the most important thing. So just some food for thought there, something to think about the next time you're thinking about going for a run. Are you running for the enjoyment of running, or are you running for the actual, I want to lose body fat? And if that's the case, I'd probably say that wouldn't be the most effective route for you.